Hello everyone, welcome to Nareen's Life with MS. This is Nareen and it's time for a Slowdown Saturday. And honestly, to describe today, I think I might have put a lot of Slowdown Saturday out into the world because it backfired on me. So here's the story. Today I actually had my rituximab I almost said rituximab infection, my rituximab infusion. And, normally it is, rituximab is a pretty powerful drug. And so as a result, there have to be certain things that must be done. Like having some corticosteroids beforehand to make it a little easier, because I think the side effects of rituximab can get a little um, harsh. But essentially, now how did Saturday slow down for me? So I got up pretty early. I've been up since 6 a.m. It is a little past midnight right now. And so ideally, I've been up for the last 18 hours. I did sleep in the afternoon, but when you are getting infused, honestly, those hours do not count. But I don't want to get back to my story. So, did get up at 6, got ready, left the house at 7:30. We reached the hospital by, I want to say, 8:15, and so easily, I would say by 9:15 I had already gotten a spot in the daycare. Now, here's where the slowdown starts. First, whichever doctor wrote the daycare form for my rituximab infusion forgot to add the corticosteroids. And while sure, you can definitely take rituximab without corticosteroids, it's probably not encouraged, considering there are rashes, itchiness, respiratory irritation. There are a lot of not deadly but definitely very very annoying symptoms that do get that do end up showing up. So it took a little bit of time to get all of that sorted, to get the corticosteroids on our prescription, so that the medications could be bought and then the infusion would have started. So that was the first thing. Now the second thing, my hospital, it's an awesome hospital. I won't say anything against it, but my hospital has implemented a new protocol for daycare processes or procedures. And as a result, a lot of times what has happened is they have slowed down the infusion rates, right? And I will tell you exactly how much they have slowed it down. Now, the original infusion rate when I was starting with rituximab back in 2018, at that time, I would actually check into a ward. I'd have my own personal room, because it would take me a full night, a full 9 hours, 10 hours to, get all of the medication in me, right? And at that point in time, the rate at which I would get infused was 64 milliliters per hour. Now, one thing that they do in when they prepare your medication in the wards is they remove the amount of liquid from the saline bottle, so that when they add the new medication in, the entirety of the bottle is 500 milliliters, half a liter. In daycare, because the processes have to be a little bit faster, they just pretty much add the liquid into however much liquid, the 500 milliliters that is already in the saline bottle. So as a result, the liquid does increase a little bit. But the one thing that used to happen, because I've been so used to going to the daycare and pretty much spending anywhere between 6 and 8 hours for an infusion, the infusion rate would usually be around 150 milliliters per hour. And considering that I'm so used to this medication and nothing actually, there is no side effects as a result of it, everything works out. But this new protocol dictates that you have to go slower, right? You have to go according to the plan set by the doctors. And now the doctors will set their protocol as per what might happen in the wards, where you are taking out a little bit of liquid so that there is 500 ml in your bottle. But if you're adding, these medications, usually the volume of liquid in the bag goes up to around 650, maybe even 700 ml. Right? 700 ml versus 500 ml is a huge difference, especially when we are talking about going at an infusion rate of 64 milliliters per hour. So, but of course, what would happen is that because now the protocol was there, the infusion starts. It's at 70 ml per hour. I think I started around 9:30, maybe 10. For 6 hours, it was at 70 ml per hour. So with 70 ml per hour, already I am looking at a 10-hour a 10-hour thing, right? Although I do want to say that maybe I didn't start it at 9. I think I started it closer to 11, because it is Slowdown Saturday, so it did slow down. So I started at 11 until 4 p.m. I was on 70 ml per hour, and then noticing that the bag wasn't deflating fast enough, the nursing staff thankfully decided to increase my rate to 100 ml per hour, which still is much slower than what I'm used to. So usually my 6 to 8 hour infusion, which would happen, so even if the medication started at 11, I'd be out by 7 p.m. Today, I was out at 9. So it took me, and to remember that I entered the hospital at 8. I spent 13 hours in the hospital getting a medication that I have gotten 28 times before, or 27, but that many times before, and it broke me. And then thinking about what I can say on today's video, just because I am so tired from everything that has happened today, even though yes, for majority of the time I was sleeping. A lot of people pointed that out, that yeah, you were sleeping the entire time, so why are you tired? Well, medication isn't exactly, getting infused is not exactly a walk in the park, right? I mean, I am one of those people who needs a certain way of sleeping, and the I sleep in a certain stance, and yeah, while being infused, that stance is not possible. So what ended up happening was I was pretty uncomfortable while I was sleeping. Did sleep because I really couldn't do much. And yeah, I just spent the entire day sleeping, getting tired from sleeping, and then having a slower than normal infusion. In fact, so slow that I literally spent 13 hours in the hospital. And now a similar thing is going to happen with my vitamin B12 infusions as well, because the last time I went there, and this was right after they started with the new protocol, the 4 hour infusion turned to 6 hours. Now that's not very big, but if you're talking about a 6 or an 8 hour infusion turning into a 10-11 hour infusion, oh boy, Slowdown Saturday has really moved citywide. And but of course, because I got all this time to myself, I had the ability to, you know, try new things, think of new things, calm myself down, and maybe find another semi comfortable stance to sleep in. So, all in all, I'd say this Slowdown Saturday, while being a lot more slowed down on the sides rather than internally, was a little fruitful. But here, I do want your thoughts, your insights, your observations, your experiences as to how you would have dealt this Slowdown Saturday on your side. And of course, please share those comments so that we can get the conversation started. But with that said, this is Nareem's Life with MS. I am hoping that your weekend is going very well, better than mine at least for now. I don't have any plans for Sunday, so hopefully it'll be a good one. And that said, here's wishing you a good night, sweet dreams. I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.